Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing a what's next on former WBC light heavyweight champion Oleksandr Gvodzyk following his second pro defeat at the hands of David Benavidez when they fought on the Amazon Prime pay-per-view card as the co-headliner on June 15th. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, you know, this fight, I told everybody that Gvodzyk was a tough out for Benavidez. He's not an easy guy to deal with. I really think it came down to a speed thing. You know, that 9-year age difference really showed in the fight, as Benavidez just his hand speed and all that stuff was just night and day better than Gvodzyk. But Gvodzyk gave a great account of himself in the second half. You could tell he got hurt a few times when he got hit by Benavidez, but he stayed in there, he stayed strong, and he landed some good shots himself and gave a really good account of himself in the second half of the fight. And, I think Gvodzyk, at his age, I hope he doesn't retire. I thought he did a really good job, all things considering. I mean, David Benavidez, he probably beats Gvodzyk no matter what, right? I mean, okay, I'm fine with saying that. But, Gvodzyk took 3 years off following the loss to Beterbiev back in 2019 when he attempted to unify belts. He was ahead on the scorecards against Beterbiev, and he got stopped in the 10th round of that fight ahead on the scorecards. So, that was his lone defeat. He retires for 3 years. He comes back and he wins 3 fights prior to Benavidez, but against competition that wasn't even close to Benavidez. So I really would have liked to seen him, instead of going from fucking A to Z like that, I really would have liked to seen him fight somebody a little bit better than what he had, and then Benavidez. But hey, you can't pass on a Benavidez fight when it comes up. Benavidez is a name, and you got to cash in on that and go make your run, and see what happens. But now that he's lost, the big question is what's next for Gvodzyk? Does he retire again? Does he stay in the mix? We don't know where he's going to be ranked. Let's run through the top guys at light heavyweight and see what could be possible. We start with Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol. If Bivol loses to Beterbiev in their undisputed title clash, not sure where that leaves Bivol, but Bivol losing, Gvodzyk losing, might be a fight that makes some sense early next year to try to, get back into the mix. I'm leaning towards the less likely that it happens, win or lose, for Bivol, but I think it's a fight that could make sense if both guys would be into taking the fight, and they might. I'm not going to completely rule it out because they're both guys that don't have big names, that if Bivol loses, he's probably going to need, he's probably going to be looking for a decent opponent in a return bout, because not a lot of guys are going to sign up to fight him if he doesn't have any hardware, doesn't have any belts. Beterbiev in a rematch. I mean, if Beterbiev beats Bivol, he's not going to fight Gvodzyk in a rematch. It doesn't make sense for him. But if he loses, would Gvodzyk want to fight Beterbiev in a rematch, and would Beterbiev even want to fight? I'm leaning towards the less likely. I don't see these two guys rematching, not next anyways. Then you got Callum Smith, who's also coming off of a loss. But Smith, if he fights at all, I mean, he looks like he's either going to retire, or if he fights at all, he's gonna be fighting. He wants to fight for titles, and Gvodzyk, in my opinion, is too big of a risk for Smith, so I don't see Smith fighting Oleksandr Gvodzyk next. Anthony Yarde. Yarde, maybe. If Yarde really wants to test himself against the guy Benavidez just fought, and he wants to get back into that serious mix, he didn't make the fight with Gvodzyk. He might not have a choice but to fight a guy like Gvodzyk to try to throw his name into the mix, in the serious mix within the next year at light heavyweight. So I think Yarde might fight Gvodzyk. He could fight him next if both sides are interested in the fight. Again, leaning towards the less likely, but I do think it's still possible. Then there's Richard Rivera. Interesting matchup. Would a guy like Rivera want to fight Gvodzyk? I think he might. Maybe, because Gvodzyk, again, is a former champ. He's an older guy. Rivera wants to make his name at light heavyweight and get into the serious mix. And Benavidez just fought Gvodzyk. Benavidez fought Gvodzyk. If Rivera could be the next guy, he could look at himself as the next guy to beat him, he might get it. Michael Eifert. I don't see this one because Eifert's already the IBF mandatory. Why risk it against a guy who is coming off of a loss and would be, you know, a serious threat to him? So I don't see that one. Joshua Buatsi. Buatsi's laser focused on Willie Hutchinson in September, and then landing a world title shot after that. He's knocking on the door. He's #1 contender, I think, in 3 of the 4 weight class, 3 of the 4 governing bodies. He doesn't need to fight Gvodzyk, so that I'm going to say no on him. Jean Pascal. I mean, if Pascal even wants to fight again, I could see him fighting a guy like Gvodzyk, but I don't see this fight happening. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could see it taking place if both sides wanted it, but I don't think it will. And then Vasily Wojciechowski. I mean, you never know. He's a guy, you know, trying to make a name. You know, it'd have to be one of those fights that Gvodzyk would have to want. And Wojciechowski as well. I'd have to lean towards the less likely in my book, but you never know. It could definitely take place. Dan Aziz is an interesting one because Aziz is coming off of a loss as well. Maybe Aziz says, hey, I'll fight Gvodzyk. We're at a crossroads. Both of us need to win. We're both coming off of losses. I think that one's possible. Albert Ramirez, another one, maybe if the two sides could come together for the fight, it could be possible because Ramirez, like Richard Rivera, like I said earlier, and even Aziz might want to add their name to the list of guys that have beaten Gvodzyk. And it's a good list right now. Beterbiev and Benavidez. So maybe. And that's pretty much it. So Gvodzyk, again, he's got to want to continue to fight. And I hope he does. I hope he takes one last serious run at getting in contention and going for the grand prize and then seeing what happens. But we'll see. I'm leaning towards he's still going to fight because he really gave a good account of himself against Benavidez. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he retires again. So we'll see what happens. But that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on former light heavyweight world champion Oleksandr Gvodzyk following his tough unanimous decision loss to David Benavidez as they fought for the vacant interim WBC light heavyweight title on the June 15th Amazon Prime pay-per-view card. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.